Hello, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to the Making of Magic: The Gathering Marvel's Spider-Man panel. So excited to see you guys here. I was so lucky to get to moderate a panel at San Diego Comic-Con about this, and so when they were like, hey, do you want to come to Atlanta and do it again? I was like, yes, please, and get to talk to some amazing panelists. So I'm so pumped to be here. How's your day 2 going, everybody? Good. Got to play some Magic, bought some swag, I'm sure, which I did. So we're going to talk about a ton of stuff today. We are going to get into colors. We're going to talk about Pick 2 draft, set mechanics, and some deep cuts. And we've got great panelists here with us today, so I'm going to let them introduce themselves to you guys.
Hello, everyone. I'm Corey Bowen. I'm a game designer at Wizards. I was the lead game designer for Magic: The Gathering Marvel's Spider-Man. Thank you, thank you. I grew up with Spider-Man when Tobey Maguire's, Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man movie came out. I was 6 years old, so the perfect age to get right into a comic book superhero, just like Spider-Man. Very excited to be working on this set.
Hi, I'm Jadine Klomparents. I am also a game designer. I am the play design lead, which means I work on the cards very near the end of the process, dialing in the final numbers and getting the gameplay perfect. I only had pretty superficial exposure to comics before starting this, and I got to learn so much working alongside Corey and everyone else. It's super cool. Can't wait to talk about the set today.
Woo.
Hello, I'm Max McCall. I was the executive producer for Spider-Man, working with all of these fine folks on...
You just got louder.
Yep,
I just wanted to hear you more.
Hello, I'm Max McCall. I was the executive producer for Spider-Man, working with all these fine folks across everything about all things Spider-Man. Like Corey, I was activated by the Sam Raimi movies, and I've been a fan ever since.
Woo.
Hi, I'm Amanda Barker. I am on the Marvel team. I am a senior product designer, and I help amazing partners like Wizards of the Coast do incredible projects with the characters that we all know and love. I have been a comic book fan forever. I wanted to draw comic books, and so now it's an incredible opportunity to be able to make amazing games like this.
Hey folks, I'm Aaron Mesburn. I was the narrative lead on the set. Just a big fan of Spidey. It was an immense privilege and just so much fun to get to work on this set last few years and see people finally get to play it.
Yeah. All right, so let's dive into all the talk about these cards in this set. Max, let's start with the real defining thing about Magic, and let's talk about the color pie.
Yeah, so, with Magic, the color pie is kind of the philosophy of all the colors of Magic, sort of encoded in the various rules. And with Spider-Man, a lot of what we were talking about was for which character, which of those colors should we elevate the most, right? So Peter is very blue in a lot of the way he approaches the Spider-Man character, as opposed to someone like Gwen, who's a lot more red in terms of, she's a lot more motivated by kind of the core freedom, free spirit elements of the character. Then you have someone like Miles, who's a lot more kind of family oriented, and this is the kind of thing that Aaron and I were talking about a lot as we were kicking around. Okay, who should be the main characters of the set? Who else are we trying to get to bring in to speak here?
Yeah.
And what should that look like?
Well, and just talking about some of those top line characters, the main lead characters, I think we have some of those cards to check out too, the ones that you were referencing
yes.
with the colors and stuff.
Everyone's favorite. So yeah, like I was saying, so Miles has the most kind of bringing everyone together in the spirit of what Spider-Man means to the city, and the Ultimate Spider-Man card does a lot of work to power up all of your spiders working together. The whole is the greater than the sum of the parts, and then Miles is kind of elevating everybody across the whole band of what all of that means.
Corey, you want to jump in and talk a little bit about the color identities too?
Yeah, I mean, for these 3 characters, it was really important for us to have them all feel like they are the epitome of Spider-Man characters, but at the same time, we wanted them to feel distinct from each other. So again, green and white are our core Spider-Man colors. It makes a lot of sense for a superhero to be a white figure in a sense. White is the color of responsibility, of community, of the greater good, which is totally the ethos of Spider-Man. And green, frankly, basically is the color of spiders, or more likely like animals and, you know, that spiritual connection, but the kind of idea of a proportional strength is very green in that sense. So green-white is rooted where we want Peter and Miles to both be. And Peter, you know, he creates his own web fluid leaning towards blue, all that stuff. But for Gwen, we have Gwen here in Ghost Spider. We put her in blue a little bit to show that she's doing some more of the dimensional traveling in the comics and the shows. She's kind of moving through space and time a little bit more. So we decided to put her in Jeskai, which we really liked. Yeah.
And JD, you want to jump in a little bit to talk about the green and white of it all?
Yeah, I think maybe we have some more. Yeah, there we go. All right. So, like Corey was saying, green and white is just so perfect for Spider-Man and that real community sense of what's going on for the friendly neighborhood hero. And one of the great things about doing a whole set about Spider-Man was there is a whole Spider-Verse to explore. So we knew we were going to want to include so many different spider heroes, and that we would want to kind of connect them mechanically and allow players to play with a bunch of them in the same deck. So we needed to choose a core color combination for them to exist in together. And we chose green-white, just so perfect for that like core ethos of Spider-Man. You can see a whole bunch of different spider people on the slide right now, all just kind of connected. Yeah, really cool.
Yeah, I think that you know, everybody's kind of said it all. Like, working on this project with this team, it became very apparent very quickly that the entire Wizards team, from the artists to the game designers, front to back, just all understood these characters and knew what they stood for. Like, it's amazing.
Well, and I think it's one of those things too, where it's like you think about characters. I'm a huge comic book reader, so knowing the characters, you're thinking like, oh, they're going to be. When you think about it from the character standpoint, it's like certain colors lean in, but then it's so cool hearing you guys talk even deeper about within the world of Magic, how do these colors kind of work in there. I remember the panel I did where I was like, Green Goblin's going to be green, and they're like, no. So Corey, can you talk a little bit more about some of the other colors?
Yeah, I mean, on these next cards that we're going to show, like, we have a lot of spider people in green and white, but it becomes really interesting when you show people who have kind of a different power suite or a different reason to really show those different colors of Magic and contrast for what they're doing. You know, Spider-Man 2099, he's from the future. He's a scientist that's very, very blue, but he's also more aggressive, more assertive, like a red character would be. And, you know, we're doing some red-blue from Exile stuff at Rare, so it felt really, really good to put in red and blue. Spider piloted by Penny here in blue-white makes a lot of sense. She's literally in like a mecha spider thing, which we feel is very white-blue in Magic. Spider-Man Noir, this is a mono-black heroic Spider-Man, but he's kind of a loner. You know, he kind of goes off on his own a lot of times, other than, you know, his contributions to the Spider-Verse, let's say. But it was really cool to, like, what does the mono-black hero Spider-Human look like? And similar with Superior here, you know, very science-oriented. But this is, you know, Dr. Octopus as Spider-Man, so he feels villainous in a sense. It feels dire in a sense. I mean, Aaron, do you have anything to say about these cards?
Yeah, I just think that it's really interesting because, you know, as far as like the Spider-Man mythos, just like we were saying in the previous, you know, slide, that it's like so much of Spider-Man's story is about growth and community and doing what's right. There are also other characters in the Spider-Verse that have this spider, you know, power, but treat it so differently than Peter. And so these cards kind of represent that, about how you can strive for better things in different ways. Like 2099 is a very obvious example where he's much more intense. Also, I just always have to call out that I love it when a card's mana matches the character costume. Like, he is blue-red.
Yeah.
He is blue-red, and the colors just like say it all.
And it's super nice. Like, we don't all like there's a lot of characters in Marvel that have, you know, a color in their name, and sometimes they are associated with those mana colors, sometimes not. But in cases like Spider-Man Noir, it's super nice when it works out. And I'll also call out Spider-Man, Superior Spider-Man. Nice little factoid about this one is he has the exact same mana colors as his, you know, alter ego real version, spoilers, for Dr. Octopus, the same mythic colors as that mythic.
Amanda, can you jump in and talk a little about the Doc Ock of it all?
Oh, yes. Superior Spider-Man is a very interesting story in which Peter Parker and Doc Ock actually swap bodies. And so Peter is trapped in Dr. Octopus's body, and Doc Ock is trying to be the Spider-Man that Peter never was. And so it gives the opportunity for a narrative where like Peter was like, oh, I could never get my life together, and he had all of these really human struggles. And then Doc Ock enters his life and was just like, oh, let me whip this into shape. And he just gets really aggressive and intense about everything.
Yeah.
And just kind of like, by the end of it, Peter's like the CEO of a tech company. Like, it's a wild ride.
Well, and I think with a set like this, obviously, Spider-Man, you can't have great heroes without the baddies. So can we get into a little bit more about that? Let's talk about the color identities of our villains.
Yes, I love the baddies. They're so good. Venom is a
Yeah, I
big
love that.
favorite of mine personally. I love that big photo op downstairs. It's amazing. But yes, we've got some of our most famous Spider-Man antagonists, Venom, Eddie, and Green Goblin, Norman Osborn. I think what is really neat about these cards is there's a lot of those like dual face cards in this set. And for these two in particular, like, for example, Eddie starts off as a bad guy. Eddie's bad, and he lies, and he's deceitful, and tries to get his way. And then once he gets the symbiote, he just becomes worse. He feels like he's on some sort of like crusade. He feels like he's justified in everything that he does, and so then he just becomes so much, all of the bad becomes worse. Similar with Norman, he starts off as a scientist and very calculating, and then once he gets the serum, he then becomes the Green Goblin, who is intense, chaotic, disruptive. So I think this is a really great example of the villain persona taking a bad man and making him worse. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mechanics here are just so cool. The way the DFCs kind of show both sides, a real stroke of genius from Corey and the team in my book to kind of lean into that really common comic book trope of civilian identity and superhero or supervillain in the case of Norman Osborn, and just really cool to see both sides represented and be able to go back and forth within games.
Yeah, and like literal modality, like the actual name of the mechanic actually fitting the characters. It's really, really elegant. It's really well done.
Well, I love villains in comics and in Magic cards even more so I loved hearing the cheers in the audience for like, let's talk about the baddies. And Spider-Man, obviously, it's not just a new Magic set because it's bringing in a new Magic format here as well. So Corey, can you give us a quick overview of the Pick 2 draft?
Yeah, so Pick 2 Draft is something we announced earlier this year, and Spider-Man is the first set that optimizes exactly for Pick 2 Draft. If you haven't heard about what Pick 2 Draft, it's very simple. There's two differences than a normal draft. The first one is you're picking 2 cards every pick. It makes the draft faster, quicker, a little more casual. It's fun to pick 2 rares or 2 cards that synergize with each other. But also, it's a really good draft where you only draft with 4 players instead of 8. It's so much easier to get 8 people or 4 people together than 8. It's more difficult to get 8 people together, but it's everyone's meeting together in like commander groups or whatever. So it's nice to have a draft experience ready for 4. And again, it's more accessible, I think, to newer players. And it's less high stakes. So we're really, really excited about it, and we're really excited to see how people experience the draft through Spider-Man.
Well, and I think it's been a fun thing for me and some of my friends to play where it's just like you do Commander and the game lasts for so long and you're like, we have 1 hour left. What can we do? And so you do this quick draft so you get another game. And because you never want to stop playing, but you're like, we can't play for a whole nother Commander round. So obviously, it's just more than just simply picking 2 new cards, so it changes a lot. But can you go a little bit deeper on how the mechanics of this will change the cards?
Yeah, of course. Like I said, this set was designed for Pick 2 Draft. So if we look at these next cards, these are all hybrid mana cards where you can play them if you're in one of these 2 colors. And we're using hybrid a lot to make the draft work a little bit better. And we're using them all rarities for different reasons. You see a card here like Pumpkin Bombardment. This is a pretty powerful common card. You'll see it a lot, but whoever it it lands with, it's an easy pick to stay flexible in your draft. It's strong in any deck that can play it, but it's especially strong in black, green, or black and red. And then Mob Lookout was another card exactly like this. It's just pretty good at what it does. It's pretty flexible and versatile. If it's in your pool, you're often going to want to play it. But it's especially good if you're in the blue and black deck. So this keeps the draft smooth, keeps it flowing. At uncommons, we have something similar, more hybrid cards that are a little bit more powerful, easy to pick, easy to say, hey, maybe this makes me want to go in white-green if I'm picking this stronger uncommon early. Or maybe I can pick it as a safe pick, so if I need to pivot, if I need to change color, which you might need to do more so in pick 2 draft, like this is a safe pick for me not to feel like I'm going to get cut off by the person passing to me picking 2 cards in my colors. And then even at rare, we have hybrid cards that do an even more important job. You can pick a rare as your first pick. Like, what you really want to do for your first pick is pick the coolest cards that you're excited to play with. And if your coolest card that you're excited to play
We
with,
always try to do.
yeah, I'm picking the rares every time.
Yeah.
I want to play with the rares. And if my rare is flexible, then I have more movement that I can do in the draft. So we're using hybrid at every rarity to really make sure that the draft runs smooth. And I think it's working out really well.
And Aaron, can you talk a little bit more about the Mob Lookout?
Yeah, so a few narrative factoids I'll call out about some cards that we see up there. There's just so many awesome Spider-Man characters from fiction across the years, and our set is only so big, and so something we tried to do wherever possible is to squeeze in Easter eggs. So you'll see on Mob Lookout, this isn't just anyone's mob, this is Hammerhead's mob. Way in the back there we can see Hammerhead. He's one of those characters we couldn't fit into this set, but we've got a little cameo here. Similarly, Web Warriors, there's a lot of characters here that have their own individual cards on the set, but we wanted this card is it represents like the general archetype of a team of spider heroes coming together. So there was a lot of uncommons where there were kind of team names that sounded more generic than not, that felt appropriate to put on non-legends. So Web Warriors is a good example of this, especially how much it cares about other creatures and kind of teaming up with them. Some others in the set, but my favorites, Superior Foes. I loved getting a call out for that series in there. And Merciless Enforcers is another one of those sort of fake legends in the set that's really not a legend.
Awesome.
Yeah, these are really cool, and I love the Easter eggs in this set. There's so many.
There's a lot.
There's so many, and they're so creative, and I think that it was really fun to look at every single card and every single piece of artwork and how can we make this the most Marvel we can. There's a couple where like the Easter eggs are much, much smaller, but they're still very delightful.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorites is City Pigeon.
Yeah.
That one.
Oh, we're going to get to the pigeon.
We'll get to that.
Getting ahead of myself.
Clearly, we know you're very excited about it.
Oh, I love it.
Aaron, can you talk a little bit about Web Warriors?
Web Warriors?
Yeah.
Oh, we talked about Web Warriors.
Oh, yeah, I spoke to that, yeah.
He was like, I already did that one. I like it. I want to talk about it more. Okay, so let's jump into, usually you've got 5 major archetypes rather than the usual 10 this time around.
Yeah.
So that must have required some new direction with the set as well.
Yeah, we have 5 archetypes. Instead of 10, it's a smaller set. When you're drafting with 4 people, having 10 archetypes can get confusing because some gold cards start floating around, signposts are confusing. So bring it back down to 5 archetypes we felt really fit the 4-player table a little bit better and let us make our fixing at the right place we wanted it to be. But here's some monocolor cards that do a really good job. Again, we need all of the cards in the set to work with multiple archetypes, even more so than in a typical set, because you're opening more random variants of what's going to be in the pool in the draft. So all these cards work for so many of the archetypes very well. Again, here's City Pigeon, the best card in this set. Most powerful, most gracious, most beautiful.
He was like, Amanda, you don't get to lead on that. I am talking about it first.
Thank you for, you did a good intro, but it's a beautiful card with a beautiful hot dog attached to it. But it is really good at blending. Like in blue-white where you want to suit up your creatures and buff them a bunch, having a 1-mana 1/1 flying is a very powerful early option to start equipping and start putting counters on and get aggressive with. But in the web slinging deck, it's a really efficient card to play early, and you can get it tapped by attacking really efficiently, and it pays you off for returning it into your hand with a hot dog, which is the best payoff that you could possibly ask for. Similar with the rest of these cards, like Doc Ock's Henchman, it's a blue creature, it's a villain. discipline. It connives for blue-black. You can play it with Mayhem cards if you need to. It's connive puts +1/+1 counters on creatures, which again is good for the blue-white modified deck. We have Spider Islanders and Spider-Man Brooklyn Visionary. Both of these cards are using 2 different cost reduction mechanics. So like Mayhem is great, obviously, for the Mayhem deck, and Spider-Man's great for the web slinging deck.
Yep.
But they're both good in the red-green deck that wants to cast spells of higher mana value because they're both grant you ways to cast a larger spell without spending that much mana. So there's all these little intricacies that are trying to make all of the little archetypes hook up exactly correct here.
Yeah, it's really nice how you get this kind of like stealth hybrid vibe without any of the actual complexities of hybrid. Like,
Yeah.
It's very impressive.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and Amanda, can you jump in and talk a little bit about just blending the reality and mythology within these cards too?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the reasons why, like, so City Pigeon, the Easter egg that I actually didn't catch at first. Vulture is actually in the background in the center top, chasing the pigeons. I think that's incredible.
I like to think Vulture wants the hot dog.
No doubt.
That might be his hot dog. The world may never know.
That's the real mythology.
But I think one of the things that's so charming about this collaboration and Spider-Man and this set of cards is that it takes Magic to like kind of a new place where it's bringing it into our space. And I think that's also what's really cool about Spider-Man is that Spider-Man blends mythology and everyday life because he lives in New York, he deals with rent, he deals with struggles that we all relate to, but he's also a superhero fighting Vulture in the sky. Like it brings outlandish fantasy and like gods and you know the space and all of this drama, but also it's terribly relatable because it's the places that you can go to New York and see these iconic landmarks that Spider-Man's sitting on or whatever else. And so I think that's just like a really unique thing that Magic has been able to explore.
Yeah. I mean, in the character specifically, it's one of those characters why everyone's like, everyone could be under the mask because
Yeah.
you're like, it's
Absolutely.
a normal person in a city that we know. And so getting to bring that into Magic is so cool. Now, when you talk about drafts, obviously, usually the last card in the draft doesn't get played that much. So, so what did you guys do to kind of massage that with this new draft?
Yeah, so I mean, in this set, we try to, I'll say, like, we weaponize some of the last pick
Yeah.
cards. A lot of the times, your colorless commons are the cards that are floating around, and you're not picking them. But you know, we wanted this to feel like New York. It's part when you're playing Spider-Man, like he's swinging off of buildings. He's using elements of the city to his disposal. It's like part of his movement, part of his action. And if you're drafting and there's a hot dog cart and a train and a ferry passing by, and they're not high picks, so you leave them in the pack, they pass around, you see them again, you pass them around, you see them again. It's like you're constantly seeing New York City. You're seeing what he's bouncing off of, what Spider-Man's living through. You're seeing all this beautiful stuff. And then we also have Living Brain, which is fun.
Yeah, so using these artifacts like this is kind of medium strong things that we're expecting to see deep in packs gave us an opportunity to address one of what we were worried about as a potential weakness of the 4-player draft environment for this set, which is in a smaller set with less cards and only 5 archetypes, we were worried it might just not be as replayable as other environments with more different archetypes to explore and more total cards to get to put in your deck if you draft for the 10th time. So while working on the set, we were really keen on the lookout for kind of sideways stuff that, you know, isn't the really obvious color pair stuff you're supposed to do for your first few drafts, but gives you that additional content as you go deep. So Living Brain is hooking into all of these artifacts that you're going to be finding in your packs and giving you something to do with them, and just kind of that novel content that you didn't see on your first draft, but makes it still fresh, you know, in your 6th or 7th.
I love it. And historically, Magic sets, they usually have 2 or 3 new mechanics, but Spider-Man, we've snuck in some more stuff into this set. So, Jadine, can you talk a little bit about the mechanics?
Yeah, absolutely. So on the next slide here, we're going to take a look at our first new mechanic, web slinging. So going all the way back towards the beginning, green and white was the color pair primarily with the spider heroes. And we knew we not only wanted to have them as kind of like a faction you could play with a bunch of spider heroes in your deck, but also give them their own mechanic. In thinking about Spider-Man, the web powers that Spider-Man has are so unique in the world of comic books and just such a versatile power set for a character to have. Spider-Man uses his webs for so many different things, from transportation around the city, grab a bystander, pull them out of the way of danger, and even in combat, web down somebody, restrict their mobility, get the edge that way. So we needed a mechanic that would be equally versatile to play with, and Corey and the team came up with this version of web slinging you can see here. Web slinging is an alternative cost to cast the card. You get to spend less mana on your spell in exchange for returning a tapped creature to your hand. But the thing about Magic is most additional costs have ways to be upside. So, you went through a bunch of work, you tapped your creature somehow, you got your discount, and now you also have that creature back in your hand. So you'll get to deploy it again. We built in creature fall synergies, rewards for playing multiple creatures, and just a lot of ways to take advantage of web slinging. Green-white is all about it. Really fun to play with.
Yeah, and another thing I'll call out is, especially with web slinging and showing kind of our most basic web slinger in the set with Spider-Man Web Slinger, we wanted to show, take opportunities where we could to show Peter Parker across the years, and what better place on the most basic version to show the youngest Peter, a Peter in high school. I love how Ryan, in this picture, illustrated him with the backpack and the shoes hanging off in front of Aunt May's house. It's just so charming.
Yeah, I love this piece. It's so charming, and one of the fascinating things about this collaboration is because we were able to dedicate this whole set to Spider-Man as a whole, we were able to explore the character in multiple iterations. Like you called out, this is the youngest version of Peter, like early Spider-Man. And I think it speaks to, again, Spider-Man as a character and like comics as a medium, that we've been telling the Spider-Man story for 60 plus years. You get to tell a lot of stories, and Spider-Man as a character, there are very few comic book characters, like even comic book characters, that truly are allowed to evolve. And Spider-Man is one of them. We've seen him in high school. We see him go off to college. We see him date. We see him fall in love. We see his heart broken. We see him get married. He has kids. There's he as a character has grown through the ages. And I just think that that's so unique to Spider-Man, and the comic book storytelling allows us to do that since it's an ongoing storytelling medium. And I think that's just something so special, that you can follow Spider-Man as you grow up. You get to interact with him and see him change as a character. So that's one of my favorite parts about that character, and the fact that we can do the same thing in Magic the Gathering and portray that journey, I think is really valuable. It's really neat.
Well, I think it's what I love so much is just getting to chat with you guys and hearing the passion behind it all, that you're like, there is so much to delve into, and that really we feel it as players with all the cards, but also with all the mechanics. So what is the next one we can talk about, Jadine?
Yeah, let's move away from the heroes and get over to some of the mechanical representation of the villains.
Yay! I wanted my villains to cheer with me again.
So Connive is centered in blue-black in the set. It is a returning mechanic to Magic. We used it before, and we're using it here in the Spider-Man set to represent the villains plotting behind the scenes, preparing for their next bout of villainy. So Connive allows a creature, it's an action a creature performs. You as the player will draw a card, and then you will discard a card. And if you discard a non-land card, the creature will get a +1/+1 counter for your trouble. So when you have a lot of connive in your deck, you are kind of setting yourself up for future success. You're being very methodical, considering the cards in your hand. Exactly. I'm not good enough with my hands. But so you're planning things out and being just so careful, and your creatures are getting stronger as you do. It's just so perfect to represent kind of the scheming nature of what's going on behind the scenes.
Max, can you talk a little bit about Norman Osborn?
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of these folks are, up to something, right? Like the nefarious plotting really is the kind of thing that you feel like you're doing when you're just going off with your connive deck, right? Like you churn through your whole deck, especially in draft. You like get to like whatever rare, whatever like your key synergy piece is, and you get to do the thing, right? Like the Green Goblin himself, right? You might say like
Something of a scientist.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. Go
What?
on.
What?
I'm sorry.
I wasn't
that?
saying it. I was going to let you go.
Oh, very interesting. Yeah, then same kind of thing with Morbius, right? Like Morbius himself is paying you off for doing your conniving, and again, there's sort of like, okay, like how can we do these things together? How can we make the whole greater than the sum of its parts? And a lot of that again kind of speaks to what we were just talking about, right? Like Magic and Marvel are both like really excited to meet people where they're at, and that kind of speaks to what you can do with these kinds of mechanics to let you play out the whole game in the way that you want and give you flexibility over the way you're approaching everything.
Yeah. I mean, talking about, again, villains and things that they can do, can we get into some mayhem?
Absolutely. So yeah, eventually the time for plotting has to come to an end, and we move over to the raw chaos of mayhem when villains are just wrecking havoc in the streets, waiting for Spider-Man to come and stop them. So the mayhem mechanic is centered in black and red in the set and is the black and red color pair theme for draft. It is a new mechanic to Magic that allows you to cast cards from your graveyard that you discarded this turn if they have the mayhem mechanic on them. So kind of like web slinging, it is usually a way to get your card for cheaper if you did some amount of work. But just like web slinging, you also have so many paths to advantage along the way because you probably didn't discard that card for no reason. You got something from it, whether it was just a minor thing for your creature or if you got a full card's worth of value from it because you connived it away. I actually really love the way connive and mayhem play together in this set as the two sides of setting up your plan and then wrecking chaos. It's just so perfect in villainy, and it leads to some really powerful things in gameplay.
I'm just so excited about Mayhem in this set. Like, obviously, it's very reminiscent of an older Magic mechanic called Madness. Like, Madness had a very, very similar thing. You discard a card, you play it as you discard it. But Madness, you like discarded it into exile, and then you didn't know when you could cast. You had to cast it then. Mayhem, it kind of fixes the complexities. No longer are you discarding cards into exile. You can play it later if you didn't want to play it just then and there.
Too much of the Madness rules, like if you read them, they actually drive you to madness.
Yes. Madness is it's a whole deal. Mayhem, what a great word for like a comic booky, like Saturday morning cartoon villain in a sense too. But I'm really excited to bring back that Madness style gameplay. I love playing the Mayhem decks, and I think a lot of the cards really string together very, very well.
Well, and I think we can't talk about these cards without talking about goblins.
Oh, of course. I think that mechanic just really sums up a lot of the chaos so well. And another fun sort of call out to this card that's on screen right now is that this version of Green Goblin is actually Harry Osborn and not Norman Osborn. It also speaks to this set being able to explore different versions of different characters, and Norman has not been the only one donning the Green Goblin mask. Also, Harry has served his time as the Green Goblin. So I think that, again, this is just another case where Wizards did their homework.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Aaron,
there's lots of characters in the set who, kind of a rule for us, kind of like, spiders. If you've been, bitten by the spider, you're part of the spider family, you get the spider creature type. Same deal with goblins. If you've ingested some version of the goblin serum, you get the goblin creature type, which I think is a really fun way to unify these characters into more of a family. And frankly, we're making Magic, and it's more fun to be able to include, some of the most famous goblin-named characters in fiction, period, in your favorite goblin decks.
All right, and finally, we have one more to talk about. We've got modified.
Yeah, our last mechanic is modified, another returning mechanic to Magic. It represents just the various ways within Spider-Man canon that people or things get upgraded along the way. I think the most clear example here is Spider piloted by Penny, this kind of mechanical version of Spider-Man powers, and you just see like you've got technology on your side. That is what modified is representing. So modified is kind of a status a creature can have. A creature is modified if it has a +1/+1 counter, if it's enchanted, or if it is equipped by something. Then we say the creature is modified, and blue and white is all about modifying your creatures and then reaping benefits with cards that care about that.
I love the card we have in the middle with Costume Closet. I think you can't talk
Costume
about.
Closet is so good. I mean, he's a man of many suits, Spider-Man, and I've always wondered, where are all of them? Where does he keep them all?
Right. Yeah, we definitely thought about that. There's been like different versions in film or in comics. Like, where does he keep them all? In this set, he keeps them all in a closet, and this card is one of my personal favorites. It's definitely an Easter egg repository of sorts of all the costumes, some of which we couldn't necessarily fit in the set, but you might see as alternate costume treatments on the Spectacular Spider-Man card available in collector boosters. But some really fun Easter eggs in here, like, you know, all the spider armors and Bombastic Bagman and many more.
Amazing.
I love it.
Yep.
Spider-Man's definitely a man of many suits. I mean, anything you've got with superheroes, it's like to have a card like this where you get to see all those Easter eggs and all the
Got
costumes.
it.
I love it so much. Okay, so like I said at the beginning, I'm a huge comic book fan, and I loved hearing you guys talk about the fact that you did do some deep cuts, and there is a lot of involvement with the comic book side. One of my favorite things is the fact that hopefully this set brings comic book fans into Magic, but it also brings Magic fans to comic shops to learn more about some of these characters and stuff. So I would love to talk about some of the awesome deep cuts that we've got in this set to see how deep Wizard was willing to go on these cards. Amanda, you want to kick us off with our top level of deep cuts?
Yes. The main characters of Spider-Man.
Yeah. Everyone in here should be on the same page.
I mean, you've got Peter Parker himself, J. Jonah Jameson, Doc Ock, and Miles Morales, all very... the first couple have been part of the Spider-Man mythos for a long time. Miles is like a newer entry, but has become such a mainstay of the mythos. I think one of the fun things that I noticed on these cards specifically is the alliterations in their names, which is a big thing for Marvel Comics. If you haven't noticed, Peter Parker, J. Jonah Jameson, and Miles Morales. When Miles was being concepted as a character in the writer's room, he had a different name originally when they were workshopping things, and at some point they were like, no. It has to be an alliteration. It's important. It's important. It's part. He has to fit into the world. He has to have an alliteration, and so Miles Morales became the name of the character. I just love that fun fact.
Yeah, we definitely tried to incorporate that spirit of alliteration wherever possible into character names and epithets that you might see throughout the set. But there's sometimes, if there was another iconic name or epithet that we wanted to include, we sometimes didn't do that. For example, one of my favorite cards in the set, Dr. Octopus Master Planner. I love the fact that Corey made this design that really spoke to Dr. Octopus's cunning and ability to strategize and shape your hand and just have all the perfect resources to enact all your villainous schemes. He really feels like a master planner when you play him.
Yeah, and you kind of get the same token out of Peter, right? Like it's not a Spider-Man set without any of these characters, and it's not really Peter without him like going into the lab and like figuring out what he's got to do and doing some science and using that to solve his problems.
Mm-hmm.
Really fun story about J. Jonah Jameson there. So, my day job is play design, changing the numbers, and we get really concerned about power level and how things are going to play, as you might expect. And sometimes that means we let flavor slip away from us for a little bit. So at one point in the process, J. Jonah Jameson's power and toughness had crept all the way up to 4/3, at which point... At which point the rest of design reeled us in and said, okay, he's just a guy. He cannot be a 4/3. So we were like, you're so right. brought him back down to reasonable levels, adjusted the power level in other ways. But yeah, just another look at how complicated it can all be.
That is one of my favorite little fun facts from this too. And I remember when I first saw the card that he had Suspect and Menace, I was just like, oh, they get this is what we're doing. Yes.
Yeah, it's a great design. I mean, for what it's worth, I'll just point out, I love Miles Morales. Such a great character. Love this card. But if you love Spider-Man, you're thinking of getting into comics. Like the Miles Morales comics right now, written by Cody Ziegler, they are really good. Like very, very good comics. I really recommend picking up some Miles comics. The art is just amazing. The writing's awesome as well.
I feel like going back to the J. Jonah Jameson thing where you're just like, who's the person in the room that was like, actually,
Yeah.
throw it back to the panel before.
That was Mark Rosewater.
It was 60% of the studio.
Yeah.
You always need the person that helps, like where it's like you can get so involved and invested as a fan where it's like, we're getting to do magic and Spider-Man, but sometimes you need the person that's going to come in and be like, I'm sorry, but he's just a dude.
Right. Like he can't be bigger than Spider-Man.
Yeah. All right, so that's top level. I feel like everybody in this room knows those characters, so let's go a level deeper. What do we got for our leads on when you're a little more in the know of these characters, Amanda?
Yes. So again, Spider-Man has had quite a long history, so he has lots of supporting characters. You've got Flash Thompson, you have Hobgoblin, Black Cat, and Rhino. He has a huge rogues gallery that he's fought over time. He has, friends at high school, friends at college. I think that it's really neat, and again, to the comic book storytelling of it all, having over 60 years of storytelling and being able to explore Spider-Man, like all of his supporting cast has also gotten a lot of stories. Like Flash Thompson, for one, is one that surprises me sometimes. He started off as Spider-Man's bully, but then he also got to become a superhero and go to space and like become Agent Venom and all of this. Like it's amazing the amount of stories that little branches and nooks and crannies that storytelling has gotten into in the Spider-Man ethos, and Flash is just a great example of that.
Yeah, and one really fun thing with the Flash card we did is every card that like represents Flash, whether it's Flash or Agent Venom or whatever, they all have the Flash mechanic.
I
Just
love
like,
that. That's so fun.
And we weren't like, oh, they have to. We're like, hey, can we pull this off? Can we really get every Flash to have Flash without compromising the gameplay? And I think we got there. It's super, super fun.
Yeah, even the bonus sheet, it worked out.
So funny. Love it.
Do you want to talk a little bit about your favorite, Aaron?
Yeah, so Hobgoblin is a fun one because, from the outset, he's like some kind of off-color Green Goblin variant of some kind. Who is this guy? Turns out he's one of the most complicated, convoluted villains in terms of his canon, and maybe all of Spider-Man. He's just been like 6 or 7 different people under the mask over various years, which is one of the reasons we named him so generically, and the flavor text is basically like, which one is this again, basically? Who is it this time? So that would be my pick.
Amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that where it's like Spider-Man has such a rich history that it's really important when we're building a set like this. Like no matter what your favorite era of Spider-Man is, like it's really important to be able to pay that off.
Yep.
Like Black Cat is a really good example of that, where it's like, I think most people associate Mary Jane with Spider-Man as sort of the main character, but like Spider-Man and Black Cat have history. Like it's important to acknowledge that for the folks who are fans of who grew up in that era.
Yep.
Yeah, and I would be remiss if while it's up on the slide, I didn't swerve us back to mechanics for a second and talk about Rhino. So red-green, the archetype in the set, is kind of the odd man out. The other 4 that we supported all have their own mechanic, and we've talked about them all. Red-green's through line was mana value 4 or greater. Rhino here is the signpost uncommon for red and green and limited. Just cast huge stuff, ramp up, and Rhino is exactly the top end you want.
And bigger than J. Jonah Jameson.
As it should be.
He is bigger.
All right, how are you guys feeling? You feeling like you don't know these characters? Can we go a little deeper? We're getting some big head nods? Okay. All right, so let's go a little bit deeper. You really need to be a true comic fan for these ones, I feel like.
All right, bring it on. Let's see. Yes. So this is another layer of complexity from maybe some lesser-known story arcs. Gwenom, which would be Ghost Spider and Venom, Scarlet Spider, Ben Reilly, Silk, and Jackal. So these characters are they kind of have their own history, their own sort of side stories to the Spider-Man mythos. Jackal is actually the villain that created Scarlet Spider, Ben Reilly, the clone. Jackal is such a interesting character. He's just so mean. He's just so angry and so mean. Like, I think there's so many Spider-Man villains that are really complex, and Jackal's just awful.
He's a hater.
He's just the worst. And he just torments Spider-Man psychologically any chance he gets. It's just, oh my gosh, he's such a character.
I was really, really happy to get Gwenom in this set. Like, I love all the symbiotes in Spider-Man. I love it when a symbiote is on someone with spider powers and they look really badass.
Well, like the artwork on this card, I love that card so
it's
much.
beautiful. Yeah, I was super excited. You know, I kept saying, "Hey, Aaron, can we get Gwenom in it? Can we get Gwenom in it? Can we get like what kind of symbiote spiders can we really get?" And I'm super happy we got Gwenom. I think the design is super cool.
Yeah, what kind of symbiote can we get in? When can we get Gwenom in? Why isn't Gwenom in the set yet? Like, really, like Corey just is manifesting when it comes to Gwenom, and the card is super cool. It's it really speaks to the essence of the character, kind of in the same way that Scarlet Spider. Like, it's not a Spider-Man set if you don't have clones.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, that's just so key to the story. You can't have it without that.
Like, I'm sorry, did I just now notice that Ben Reilly's art is it's a mirror of the Play booster box like packaging art with Spider-Man?
It's probably a coincidence.
Wow, imagine that.
Just lucky, I guess.
You're like, I'm just finding more Easter eggs on this panel today. What about Silk Webweaver?
Yeah, so Silk was an interesting one for my team, Play Design. One of the things we do is set design hands off a bunch of cards and has these mechanics, and we say, okay, what can we do with this in constructed formats? So we'll think about each mechanic and go, okay, what would a web slinging deck look like? And web slinging is a mechanic that allows you to return cards to your hand. If you have 2 cards with web slinging and a lot of mana and an easy way to tap creatures, you could, in theory, keep casting those cards forever. So we had to make the choice, do we lean into this infinite combo or kind of try and hide it? And we made the decision to lean in. We made a card called Supportive Parents in the set that allows you to tap 2 creatures to make mana. That's 2 pieces of the puzzle right there. Tapping your creatures, making mana. Silk here also is your payoff. It both has web slinging, and then when you cast creature spells, you keep making tokens, which you can then tap as the other half to Supportive Parents. So it's a pretty convoluted infinite. You need like 4 cards in play, but you can make an infinite number of tokens, and that's pretty cool.
And I know we already talked about it a little bit, but how much fun is it, Amanda, bringing characters like Jackal on this card where it's like you're saying, it's just like, he's just bad. So getting to bring that in and being like, we don't have to go like super deep on what all the things are, but we're just going to make him as bad as we can. She's like, yes,
Yeah.
I'm on board. Clearly, you guys know I like playing villain and red-black just from this panel. Okay, so I think because we've got some comic fans in here and you guys all nodded so vigorously when we asked if we could go deeper on these comics, I see you nodding there. Let's go one more level and see what we got.
All right. Yes. So we've been able to explore so many niche characters, so many niche characters. I think that one of my favorites, there were a few occasions, I mean, working at Marvel, like I've been able to access so much of the history of these characters and familiarize myself, but there are even times that I have to look things up and research things, or things catch me off guard. Like, I guess an example would be, like, yeah, we're getting to the part where I had to start looking things up.
Yeah.
But like Gallant Citizen, for example, is J. Jonah Jameson's son. That I knew. And as I was looking, as I looked him up to make sure there was, anything else, turns out also a werewolf that goes to space. Sure, of course. Why didn't I know that? I should have known that. Didn't know that.
which we were fortunate to be able to include in the Marvel Legends toy card insert, so you can get a card of that.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, the story of that one is actually great. Where when we were working on with the Marvel Legends folks on characters, some of the Marvel folks were really excited about, including Manwolf, who's the werewolf in question, associated with J. Jonah's son, and they were like, "Oh, it's a shame that you can't make a card out of that because you don't have any werewolves in the set." And we're like, "Well, we don't have any werewolves in the set. But it happens that we do have werewolves." And they were like, "Say more." And so then we just started Spider-Man pointing at one another. And now Ravager of the Fells / Huntmaster of the Fells is your favorite werewolf. And he's a part of the Marvel Legends collection.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
It was super fun getting to, make cards in collaboration with like toys at the same time. It's such a awesome opportunity with working with new partners that we get to make new products and awesome collaborations.
Jadine, can you talk a little bit about Skyward Spider here?
Yeah, absolutely. So Skyward Spider represents a really fun dilemma for me for the set. It's what gets flying. In theory, a whole lot of the concepts in the set could have flying. Spider-Man could have flying. He's in the air traveling between buildings. It's just we can't make a whole Magic set where everything has flying, though, so we had to pick characters that were more in the air than other characters to have flying. Which leads me to the next quandary. What gets reach in a set with that many spiders?
At one point, they all had reach.
I don't envy you when you're trying to figure this stuff out, where you're like, what flies, what has reach?
I remember this card in particular was one we went back and forth on and picking the character with Marvel. And this is one of the few spider characters who actually has true flying, weirdly enough, Maddie Franklin.
Love it.
I want to call out Sun Spider real quick. This character is like such a weird character for Spider-Man. Sun Spider is a fan-made character who was put into the Spider-Verse comics, and she represents this character who also has, a mobility disorder, chronic disease called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, EDS. And she has a unique character design, and she was cameoed in the Across the Spider-Verse movies. But I've had people in my life who have EDS, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Hopefully I'm saying that right. But I thought it was so cool to get that kind of representation of someone who uses these mobility aids, but is still a superhero, and that's not something that brings them down or debilitates them. It's part of their power suite. So I was really, really excited to get Sun Spider in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we heard you guys talking about up here where there's some stuff that you had to look up once we've gotten to this level. So I feel like we've gone like 4 deep cuts into this set. I think that's as deep as we can go. I think that's it, right?
Yeah, I think we can get deeper than that. So we
Really?
have some weird cards.
Do you guys think they can go deeper on this? Yeah? Okay. I'll let you guys go. Let's see what you've got for us on the deepest of deep cuts.
All right, I'll start because I am sure they can all beat me. I was the most novice to comic books of the group, but Kapow is the card that I have chosen. It just blew my mind the day we were play testing the set and Corey explained to me, yeah, it's referencing comic book onomatopoeias and those like classic panels. And I was like, wow, not only are we representing the characters in the universe, we're also getting to depict the medium. And that is so cool to me. And to me, that is a deep cut.
As a comic book fan, having a sound effect card is like, it was like, it just made my nerd girl heart flutter.
And remember, you're supposed to say it when you cast it. You're supposed to go, kapow!
You guys all do that, right?
Absolutely.
You better.
It is actually the rules, for sure.
Max, you want to talk about your deepest of deep cuts?
Yeah, so here's the art for for Colonel John Jameson, J. Jonah Jameson's son. He's had a complicated life.
Complicated is a good word.
J. Jonah's, like, one of the things he's like kind of core mad about is how the Spider-Man's all over the news, and his son is like going to space and doing science and saving the planet in some cases, and being exposed to magical lycanthropy in other cases, and he never gets his own kind of proper flowers. And so we were really excited to sort of like bring that into Magic and sort of speak to even kind of the most orthogonal elements of like the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, and J. Jonah Jameson and John Jameson, I think, date back to the very first
Oh yeah, they're
like,
OGs.
like they are from the beginning, the rivalry of, you know, J. Jonah Jameson spinning the narrative to be like, why are they celebrating this spider menace? They should be celebrating my son. Like, it's from the get-go that's there. It's so quintessential to the Spider-Man narrative.
Plus, we've established that being a Jameson means you get to be a tutu. And maybe if J. Jonah Jameson had been a werewolf, we could have got away with 4-3.
Yeah.
So now we know it was you, J. Dean, that was like, he's just a man.
Man.
Corey, what do you got for us?
Yeah, I brought Spider-Mobile. There was this era in comics.
We got a woo over there. Couple
ridiculous.
woos.
There was this era in comics where they just gave everyone a car. Like, everyone needed a car, and Spider-Man's car drove on walls. It's just, what a weirdo. Like, vehicles are very useful to have in Magic sets, very useful to have with web slinging. So we're looking for vehicle concepts. It's like, what about his goofy car? That it was like a buggy or something. It's just ridiculous, but I think this is a deep cut. I don't know how you're going to beat that one.
I want to hear the conversation that happened. Was does Spider-Man's vehicle fly or have reach?
It wall crawls. I don't know what to say. It wall crawls.
I also love that this calls out that Johnny Storm had a hand in
yeah.
this, that, you know, Spider-Man and Johnny Storm like are friends. I just like the small nod to like the greater Marvel universe that these guys are all buddies. Like, they all
Yeah.
know each other.
All right, so since this is a competition of who has the deepest cuts, Amanda, what you got for
I
us?
think I've got this one I had to look up. This is another one. I had two that I had to look up, and this is the other one. Amateur Hero in the starter decks. I had no clue who this was. I had to look it up. His name is Ollie Osnick. He is Spider Kid. He actually started off trying to emulate Doc Ock, and he tried to rob a toy store and then was foiled by Spider-Man. It didn't go quite as he had planned, and he felt so bad. He felt so bad, he felt so sorry, and Spider-Man was like, hey, come on, kid. You don't have to be better than this. And he's like, I'm sorry. Actually, you changed my life. I want to be a hero. And he became a little Spider Kid. Ollie Osnick. That was such a cute little story that I got to discover. Because of the cards that were submitted. It was great.
I feel like maybe you get a couple extra bonus points because you used the word foiled in a comic book villain conversation, which I love. All right, so our final one. Aaron, what do you have for our deepest of deep cuts?
Yeah, well, last but not least, I mean, we have the 9-card scene, which is just another huge repository of lots of fun Easter egg characters. You know, we could and also couldn't fit in the set.
That's just cheating. That's all of them. It's like you've picked all of the characters. That's not.
Well, if I had to say one, I would probably pick Mysterio, who you can see kind of underneath at the bottom of Spider-Man 2099. Probably one of the most fun ones to say from, you know, from this whole set.
Yes, I love that Web Slinger and Widow, the cowboy Spider-Man's like smack in the center.
I love it because every time I look at the 9 set up together, for a comic book fan, it's like getting a splash page, and there's so much stuff hidden in there. But I will say, I feel like it's a little bit of cheating that you did choose 9 cards, but I think it is the deepest cut for a comic book set, right?
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Which one's the deepest cut? You think the 9-card set, right? Yeah?
It's hard to argue.
Yeah.
There's so many spider characters.
Yeah.
In there.
Yeah.
From so many eras, mediums, TV. Like it's nuts in there.
I feel like it's, you know, those old art things where it's like it was everything layered and you could just spend hours looking at it, just picking out all of the little tiny details and the different spider people that you'd see in the background and stuff.
It's like an I Spy for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not
really, really
saying
cool.
that that's what I do with these cards, but sometimes I do that. All right. Well, we've gotten in the deep cuts. We've talked about so much stuff here. Thank you guys all so much for coming, and thank you to our amazing panelists. We've talked colors, characters, pick 2 draft, the mechanics, and like I said, awesome, awesome deep cuts. Have you guys had fun? Yeah? All right, so give it up for our amazing panel. We've got Max and JD and Corey, Aaron and Amanda, and I am your host, Tiffany Smith, and I will see you guys again soon. Have so much fun this weekend at MagicCon Atlanta. Woo! Bye, everybody.